All right, so today I'm upstairs in the barn and I wanted to show my final results of my garlic harvest. I made that earlier video. This garlic was grown in beds that had Cornish cross meat birds on the beds right up until pretty much the garlic went in. And the garlic I planted was definitely not seed quality garlic. It was very small. Planted 1,200 cloves of garlic last year, and I may have planted a little more than that. I ended up with 1,200 garlic bulbs this year, so estimating around 1,200. I didn't see any spots that weren't planted. The beds that the garlic was planted in was planted in right after meat chickens came out. And you can do that with garlic following FSMA, which is Food Modern Safety Act, because it's anything planted into fresh manure or manure spread has to be 120 days. Garlic is before harvest, garlic is 120 days. So we're safe and legal there. So we got over here, we have 225 bulbs that are fairly huge. They're got a tape measure on it. They're average of about 3 inches across. It's pretty good. It's pretty huge garlic considering what I planted was that size. Yeah, that's an inch. So had really good at that. I'm happy with it. Then we have another good portion that these are a little smaller. Right here, these are about 2 inches. These are all hardneck garlics. So, and we did get a lot of small ones back, but that's fine. I'll grind those into powder. They're not really marketable at the farmer's market. Most, I think when I counted it, it was like 700 or 800 of them turned out to be, 2 inches, 2.5, 2.25 inches wide. That's a good marketable, sellable garlic. So I'm very happy with this. I wanted to share the results. What I did notice is the larger garlic, it took me walking around and figuring out while I was harvesting. The larger garlic are from areas where the chickens were a little bit concentrated. I did have room to move because the bed is 60 feet long, and between the three of them, it's 24 feet wide of a space. So 60 divided by 16, we did like 4 moves up and then back down and up, and I kept adding sifted wood chip to the bed to keep the chickens out of their own manure. So very deep beds now, and but where the chickens would have been concentrated, if you walk, I wish I would have made a video when I was harvesting. If you walked up where the feeders were, if you walk up about 15 feet, because that's what the chicken tractor, the feeders at the one end, there would be, all 3 beds would have a row of this very large, monstrous garlic. So fertility at planting, I think, is probably the most important part. Also, with those beds being so full of sifted wood chip, and they're sifted through a 1/2 inch screen, so pretty fine. With that being filled up, we had a very, very wet spring, but those beds drain really well. So I think that was part of it too. I didn't get any water damage from the excessive rain. I didn't have any rotting. I do have more than a few that split like that one. So those are genetics of plants that I don't want. And that may seem very strange, but I will definitely not plant anything back that started to, like, there's one right there. They haven't all been cleaned. There's just drying. It's easier for us to clean them after they're dried. Um, I don't want the genetics of that plant. I want everything to come ready to harvest at the same time. So that will get ground into powder or used by my family. They're not marketable. They are not desirable. So that's another part of the video. When you're selecting what to plant back, it's best to keep your best plants that perform the best. If something, is already dividing, it's earlier than the others. I don't know why. I started off originally with 8 varieties, but I've pretty much come down to, I eliminated a lot of them. Like Vietnamese red, I love the flavor of it, but it never produced a large bulb. No matter what system I did them in, regular no-till with compost, with cover crop, nothing produced well, but they produced even worse. So that's not a garlic for my space. Russian red's another one that it doesn't produce big heads ever. It's always, and not consistent. It's either small or medium. German white and German red are very good. I believe that's what this white is. All this large white. I bought this from a farm stand on the side of the road in Ogdensburg, New York. Probably, I'm going to say 8 or 9 years ago, and I've just been growing it out. It wasn't that big ever before, but the chicken manure definitely pushed it. I'm not going to do the same system with chicken manure this year as putting them on a bed, but I will get some composted chicken manure and put that back. So next year will be a little bit different. But because where my garlic's going this year in a rotation, I want to put it, I have winter squash there. So by the time the winter squash is out, I really won't have time to put chickens on it, because I have my meat chickens coming and they'll be harvested out before the winter squash. So there's that. We'll be processing chickens around the last week of September, and we won't be harvesting the winter squash until that week. So that's just the way that's going to work in our rotation. But I am going to try some cornmeal and soybean meal in a bed, because that's pretty close to the equivalent of chicken feed. And I have a person that has some organic soybean. It's not exactly soybean, it's something other soybean, but not the soybean you think of. They have some organic grown non-GMO soybean meal and cornmeal that had gotten wet, so I can pick up 50 pounds of that, and I'll use that to see if that works as a good fertilizer in just one bed, and then the rest will be composted chicken manure. But that's where we're at with the garlic. So planting back smaller garlic is definitely not ideal, like that one right there. But if you had good fertility and good drainage, a lot of water, you can dig yourself out of a hole, because that's what we did. We were in a garlic hole. To reiterate on that, I tried a new approach last year, which was the year before in August. I planted my beds in peas and oats on August 1st. And then I planted the garlic into the live beds of peas and oats with the assumption that those winter kill in my region. Well, we had an extremely warm winter, and the peas and oats did not winter kill. So I was up there trying to pull it. You can't pull it, it pulls the garlic because the oat roots are so fine, fibrous, and deep that they were wrapped around it. So I couldn't pull it. So I was cutting it with scissors like an idiot. And that didn't really slow it down because oats in the spring just regrow so rapidly you'd have to just sit there all your life. So I ended up with, little garlic like that. I had some okay larger garlic, and I did sell that at the farmer's market, which that would have been the ideal. It wasn't seed quality. So I sold that, and then I had another farmer who agreed to sell me enough garlic to replant 200 bulbs. And I don't know, I just gave up on them. They told me every week they were going to bring it, they were going to bring it, they were going to bring it, and then they didn't bring it, and it ended up being mid-November, and I have no seed garlic, so I planted what I could, just hoping to have my own garlic, believing 100% that it was not going to do well, and I ended up with that. That's pretty spectacular, and all my garlic is, there are some small ones, but other than the real small ones, it all ended up producing back to what I had seen previous years, but actually this is better. So the best that I got previous years would be like these, 2 inches across, 2.5. But I also got these that are, I think we measured them, they were 3 inches. Yeah, we're 3 inches across. So I ended up with a better harvest just by using, I guess, chicken manure and lots of water. Because we have received, I think we're up to 37 or 38 inches of rain this year. And that's an average for the entire year, and we're not even into August yet. So here we are. I did clean up here from the previous videos. I kind of organized it a little bit better, put up these racks to dry it in, and it's doing quite well. So if you like this video, hit the thumbs up, and remember, you can plant garlic into fresh manure because it's going to be in the ground 120 days. You cannot go back and reapply fresh manure after it's planted and be safe without worry about any contamination from the manure. But at planting time, it's 120 days minimum, and garlic is in the ground, way past that. And the manure, I did pull the chickens off of it. We harvested them about a week and a half. So we're definitely clear on the 120-day rule. And that only applies it doesn't even apply to us because we don't produce enough. But I still follow those rules because food safety is very important to me and my farming. So those rules, they keep us from making mistakes, even if we don't have to follow them, to where we could get sick from anything we do. We know that if we follow them, we're not going to get ourselves sick or anybody else. So there you go. Garlic planted into fresh chicken manure. If you like this video, please hit the thumbs up.